Hey, welcome back. The One MC. It's your boy Keith. Uh, got your boy Mac, fresh back PCS to the states. Good to see you touch down safe out there. Hope your household goods and all your J's get back in one piece. You know them boys be like to steal out them crates. So hopefully everything get there in one piece, my boy.
For sure, for sure.
Real special guest today. We got ITC Indigo Hart, really great sailor that I had in the trenches with me back at Corey Station back in the good old days, 2016 through 19. Back to back sailor of the year out there. She was getting all the hardware, right? Hashtag trophies, taking on all the trophies out there. So really happy to see her glowed up with them khakis on, doing it real big out there in DC right now. But I'll kick it over to you, Indigo. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time zone you are tuning in. Indigo Hart here, ITC type. I joined the Navy, born and raised in Baltimore, joined right after high school. I think I graduated, and then I was off to boot camp within like 2 months. Went to ITA school at Corey Station in Pensacola. Then I went to my first duty station, which was at Navy Special Warfare Group 2. So wild introduction into the Navy for me. I then went on to my first carrier, my first ship, which was the George H.W. Bush. Went on to Corey Station, where I met the illustrious Keith Harris over here, and really got a huge shift in my career at that point, which we'll get into later. And then I went to NCTS Bahrain after that. And then I went to I didn't even know where all these. It's been a minute. You really
you look old.
Yeah,
you got a little salt on you. Yeah.
Then I went to the Ford. Picked up chief, and then now I'm at Hopper Global Communications in DC.
Yeah, fun fact. I used to be on the Ford. I don't know if you know that. I used to be on the Ford for a little minute. Right before you heard about that? Yeah, we talk about that a little later. Okay. We talk about that a little later.
Yeah, you was out there with my bro JG.
Which one? Who is JG?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking about Indigo? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Doc JG.
Yeah. Bro, right there. He got me together for sure.
I bet he did. Good stuff.
Hey, so check it out. You say you came in the Navy young, right? We all got our reasons from wanting to join. What was your reason? Why'd you join the Navy?
For me, I just honestly didn't know what I wanted to do, right? But I did know that I did not want to stay at home, right? That was a fact, right? That was a factual. So I kind of had to make a decision, and I just saw everybody else kind of moving forward, right? And I was nervous, I was scared, but my only options were to either be scared and to stay where I was at, or to find something to kind of buy me some time, right? And I hate to say it, but that's kind of really what it was, right? I didn't know who I was. I was 17 years old when I went to boot camp. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I wanted to be. And I felt like the Navy would at least give me some time, right? To kind of get it together, and to get a check, you know what I mean? And to not be stuck at home in the room that I grew up in since I was like 5 years old, you know? So that was my main reason. Yeah. And then I told myself one tour at a time, and that's literally what I've been doing, but it's been working for me and I've been having a good time. So I just keep re-enlisting.
Just keep running. Did you get a bonus this last time?
No. Well, when I was a first, I got a bonus, but now, you know, they're done. We're done with that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were still in Zone C. How long you been there now?
I hit 15 this July.
What? 15? Oh, 15? Hell no. I can't see it. I don't believe it. 15, that's crazy. I feel like you was like a 3-4 year sailor when I last saw you. That's crazy. Now you're a chief for 15 years, and bro, time go by quick. But let's go through your career a little bit. Very interested in your career path. You say you started off on the carrier, right? A little bit of a shock for you. Can you talk about that experience checking into the carrier?
So I started off on special warfare. And that one, I'm only going to speak on that a little bit, but I think that was so influential because I think I got there as like an SA, right? That's when I made third. And that was my first real experience with like a chief in a shop. You know what I mean? And the chief there, without saying too much, he wasn't a good chief, right? He wasn't what we learn about in the mess. He's not what we learn about when we go through season. He didn't live by the creed. And it was very hard for me because I was the only female in the shop for a while. I was the youngest female there. I was the only Black female in there, right? With a shop of men. And not all that men in there were bad, but like the Divo was amazing. The work center suit was amazing, but the chief, and we only had one chief, he just was not, like I said, living up to the creed. I'll say that. And that really kind of, it was really hard for me, especially, not knowing certain avenues that you can take to protect yourself and to defend yourself. I think, and you'll probably be able to attest to that, Keith. Even when I got to Corey Station, I was really quiet a little bit, unless I was angry, right? I was really timid. I didn't really believe in myself that much. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that stemmed from my first actual duty station. And that's why I think it's so important that we push, like NDOC, and know who your semio is. You know what I mean? Because I really could have taken care of myself sooner if I would have knew what avenues I had to report the stuff that was going on in that shop.
That's a common theme, unfortunately, for a lot of first-time sailors. So I understand.
Yeah. But for ship, though, I think I kind of took some of that from the first command there, right? So the ship wasn't bad. I met a lot of good people. I met a lot of my mentors. But me professionally, I was just mediocre. I'm going to just keep it a buck. I was doing the bare minimum, right? I wasn't failing PRTs. I wasn't getting in too much trouble, right? And I was coming to work every day. You know what I mean? So I really wasn't giving 100%. And I was okay with that. And that's why I think, some of the Evos that you saw when we did, when you checked on, you kind of, got to know me, it reflected in there, right? That I didn't do horrible and that I did, I got qualified and I did this and I did that, but I still was kind of okay with just coasting. So that's what happened there.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mac, let me give you a little backdrop, right? So I'm checking in, I was a chief for a couple years. So I get to Corey Station and everybody's like, "Oh, IT too hard, man. She the best thing since sliced bread," right? Everybody, big up in her and shit. So, I say, okay, well, let me look at these evals. Then I'm about to look at some fire. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to look at a couple of, number one out of XX superstar, highly competitive, second classes and shit. When I tell you her eval was at the bottom of the barrel, bro, man, I was just like, did you, who you pissed off? Like, who you was out there smacking up that, they had sent her to security. Like, it was the most night and day from what you see in real life to what you see on an eval of a sailor I had ever seen up to that point in my career. And it just like, so I had to pull it to the side. I was like, yo, like, what happened, right? And then she never gave me all this information. She didn't tell me she was out there, just hopping and skipping along and just barely breathing out there, And of course, there was some extenuating circumstance, which also unfortunately happens to be a common thing with some of her career. But Mac, have you ever seen something like that in your career where you see a sailor when you check in, you've been there for a couple months, you're like, man, this sailor is outstanding. And then you look at their evals and they don't match up?
Yeah, I've seen that quite often. But first, before I go there, let me say kudos to you for even taking the time to pull her aside and sit down and talk with her, because there's people that will be in that position of leadership that will take that and then form their own opinion or judgment on that sailor without actually sitting down and talking to that sailor to see, hey, what was going on and how can we get you down the right path? So big ups to you for being a good leader, an effective leader at that time, for even doing that for her, right? But yeah, absolutely seeing that. That's I think it's common because one, I think some people, when they get into positions of leadership and, writing is a fundamental part of leadership. I think we don't do a good job of writing and speaking truthfully about our sailors. Or number two, tying back to what you just did, we never really got to know our sailors. So she sounds like, right, my perspective on what I'm hearing, was, coasting, doing her thing, a promotable sailor, but nobody really took the time to say, hey, listen, I know you're just doing the bare minimum here, but let's try to push you a little bit further. Let's try to see how can we get you to do a little bit more. What are your goals, right? What are you trying to get to? Is this what you're trying to do for the rest of your life? Is just be a promotable, or what are you trying to get to? So I have seen it. And then sometimes it is just a sailor. And maybe she was just at that point in time was like, you know what? I'm junior. I'm new. I'm just trying to enjoy. It is what it is. And it sounds like in the end it worked out for her, right? Because you're a chief now. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely seen it, man. But back to I said, big ups to you for even getting to that point, bro.
Yeah, because when I got to Corey Station, she was putting in a lot of work, right? Qualified, you know what I'm saying? Leading collaterals, basically, the superstar second class, the cliche, right?
Yep.
The prototypical superstar breakout second class petty officer. So I was under the assumption like this has been the norm for her, right? That's not something that you just get to a command 5-6 years in and just start doing. That's usually something that's already been inside of you, right? So that's just something I picked up on right away. Like these don't match. Like something right here is just not right, right? But Indigo, you did mention a few times, right? And we're not going to drop names and get into specific dates, times, locations.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, you've had some instances where folks, specifically in khakis, are crossing the boundary of professionalism, right? And
Mhm.
and not upholding to the standard, to the creed, right? A lot of sailors, unfortunately, come across this. A lot of female sailors, a lot of young female sailors come across these instances where the more senior personnel try to take advantage of the young female sailors, right? Unfortunately, I've seen it, right? I've seen it, and every time I see it, I say something about it. But from your experiences now as the chief, what type of interactions have you had with the younger junior female sailors about what you had to go through coming up through your times as a young female sailor when you wore a blue shirt?
So I think it's, when you first meet a junior sailor, especially me, because my personality is just what it is. I'm very outgoing. I smile a lot. I don't think that they believe that I would have experienced that, right? And that's why I think experience is so important, right? I hate, some of the things that happen to me, but I do believe that they make me relatable, right? And I think that's what makes me special, right? So when I'm talking to them and I'm telling them that, hey, I advise that you do this, right? Or I'm noticing these things, I have something to back it up, right? And I think that is what makes it think like, okay, she's not just one of these chiefs that's just running around the building. I think a lot of junior sailors believe that we walk into being a chief. Like we just, like there's no, you come in and you get automatically promoted to chief, right? Or they think that we kind of forgotten where we came from. So when I bring them back to reality, like, no, I understand. This makes sense. Um, and a lot of times too, I find myself seeing sailors who don't even want to talk about it. But because I already know the signs or because I'm noticing their behavior, I'm able to ask the right questions and to be able to do like a soft turnover or something, or bring them to the right person so where they feel comfortable with to talk to. So I think it's crazy that a lot of sailors think that we haven't experienced anything, or that we don't have any hardship, or that we haven't been discriminated upon or had a bad day. So I do think that when I do share my story about certain things, that they're very surprised and it makes them open up.
Right.
And sometimes it's hard to talk about, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your testimony, um, just thinking about what you went through right before and during Corey's station alone, lets me know that is really there's something inside of you that makes you want to keep fighting through that adversity and make it out on the other end. So I know when you talk to junior sailors, especially young females who come up to you, who are inspired by you being in khakis, I know you're giving them good gouge. I have no doubt in my mind, right? But let's talk about our time at Corey Station. So Mac, a little backdrop again. We was at Corey Station, 16 and 19. I check in off the Ford, right? We're gonna talk about the Ford a little later. That was crazy, right, for me. Uh, but I check into Corey Station, and um, I'm there a couple months, right? And Hart's a second class at this time. Indigo's a second class. And it comes down to my LPO is leaving, right? So my LPO is leaving, and I got 3 other first classes, none of which are capable of taking on a role as a LPO for whatever reason, right? We had a couple of issues. So me, as you know, as the chief of the division, I make Indigo. I'm talking to Mac. I make Indigo the LPO as a second class with 3 other first classes inside of the division, right? You can imagine how that went with them, right? So in that instance, uh, you can imagine those first classes are pretty upset. And I know we kind of talked about this previous to this, Mac. Situations to where you've had to make junior personnel lead senior personnel. You want to talk about some of those experiences that you've had to go through before we go back to Indigo?
Funny thing, I was going to ask you that same question because I kind of wanted to hear your story and how you went about it, but I'll share mine first.
Oh yeah, I want you to go first, and then I'm gonna double back to Indigo because that was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. All right, yeah. No, so yeah, very similar situation. We were stationed on the USS G-Dub. Again, shout out to CVN 73. That crew was amazing. Came on board, and we were first class heavy down in medical. I think we had about 12 first classes down in medical. And we had about, I want to say, 4 or 5 E5s, a few of which were very senior to the other ones. And I'm talking, when I say senior, I'm talking over 10 to 12 years of service at that time. Throw a disclaimer out. These second classes are very good corpsmen. They have very good competency skills. And I think one of them is even an IDC right now. So very good at patient care. But from my perspective, right, from Mac's perspective at that time, I did not see the type of unity and team cohesion that I needed to see for medical to make it run the way that we wanted it to run. So at that time, we had a new second class that came on board, and she had only been in the Navy, I want to say like 3 years. She made E5 in like 2 years, which is very unheard of, especially for HM. But she came in, and one thing about her was she believed in teamwork. She believed in unity. She believed in getting out there, getting on the floor, working. I mean, we talk about work center supervisor, she was it. And she was just a go-getter, man. And so, you know, I made the decision to put her in charge of to run the floor, basically be like the LPO type, and definitely got some side eyes from some of her peers that were more senior. But what I did was I sat down and I talked with them, and I explained to them why I made the decision that I made. It wasn't because, you know, they were bad people or they were failures or anything like that, but the direction that I wanted to go with medical at the time, and you know, joining with my senior leadership's vision. This second class came in and was shaking and baking and making things work, while the other ones were kind of like stuck in the past and kind of stuck in this is how we've always done it, and we weren't moving the way that we should have been moving. So to this day, we're all still good. The second class is now first class. I think she's going to sub IDC school. The second class that got trumped is an IDC, and she's doing amazing. The other second classes have all made first class, so they all have progressed, right? And we all have moved up and done amazing things. And so that was time ago. But yeah, the hard choice has to be made. And I've seen this question pop up in numerous social media groups, right? What do you do? And I see people say, well, you got to give the nod to the senior person. I think it's situation dependent on what's going on in that department. So that's my story, man.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of shit at Corey Station that I probably should have thought twice about, to say the least. But I kind of went with my gut, right? I usually go with my gut when I make decisions, and that's regardless of what the black and white say, unless it's going to get somebody hurt or something like that. I usually go up my gut. You know, I don't ask for permission. I usually ask for forgiveness, right? And I let the chips fall where they may. But Indigo, let's talk about that situation, right? Because that was a really unique situation.
Hold on. You don't get to slide out of this. I want to hear real quick. How did you handle that situation though? Like when you made the decision, how did you go up? Like, did you just say, hey, Hart, you are now in charge, and the rest of y'all move? Or like, how did you handle it?
All right, let me tell you how I handled it, right? I can't remember exactly what happened. And Indigo, she probably could fill in the blanks a little better. So I just called all of them in there. So let me tell you what the very first thing I did was I went to the Chiefs mess, right? Because I was the newest chief there. So I went to the Chiefs mess and I talked to all of them. We always in there having our Chiefs meeting. I say, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and this is why. I went through the three first classes, right? One of them was transferring in 2 months, so that was a wash. One of them, had a medical issue. So I'm not gonna say much more about that. So that first class was not. He wasn't, in my opinion, he was not capable of leading sailors, and he proved that through and through multiple times, right? Documented, right? And then the third one, the most unique circumstance, right? Let me tell you what happened with this sailor, right? So I'm just getting there, right? Sailor IT1 type, she's looking to get co-location orders with her spouse, right? Cool. That's a great thing. I'm all for it. In order to do so, IT1 needs a NEC in order to get specific orders to execute the co-location, right? Because she has to have this NEC to get selected for these orders. And where are we stationed at? We stationed at ITA school that teaches the NEC, right? Easy day, right? This is the problem though. Said sailor goes behind my back to enroll herself into the course. If you enroll yourself in the class, you in class for 8 hours a day, right?
Mm.
How can you be my LPO if you've already, one, went behind my back, so I don't trust you anymore, and two, you've already committed yourself to sit in the classroom for the next 3 to 5 months, however long that course takes, that's going to have you inside the classroom all day. How can you be the LPO,
Where
right?
was the
So,
question in all this?
bro, she, like I said, I had no idea. Like one day she just came in because she was like a heavy floater, to say the least, right? She was in and out, in and out. She would just come in and out. And I was just still trying to get my bearings because I only had been there a few months. So one day, randomly, she was just like, yeah, I'll be in class. And I was like, huh? Like, class? She was like, oh, yeah. Indigo laughing because she noticed how this shit went, right?
I was like this.
Uh,
The ear
yeah.
hustle.
I was like, you in class? I was like, what class? She was like, yeah, I'm in such and such class. My co-location, I need these orders and blah, blah, blah. I said, okay then. That's what's up. So I walked smooth over to the Chiefs mess and I sat down with all them Chiefs. And I was just like, look, I just got stabbed in the back. She was going to be the LPO. I promise you, she was going to be the LPO. And I was like, at this point, one, I can't trust her. And two, she's not available. So there's nothing I can do to make her in my mind be somebody I can trust leading sailors, right? So default, and then number three, let me throw this in there. None of them are what we call core soup qualified. They're not qualified,
Or MTS
right?
qualified.
Not MTS qualified,
Or
not core
course soup
soup
qualified.
qualified. They not qualified. Like she's the only one in the shop that's gonna be qualified within the next 90 days. She's already MTS. She's already course manager, course soup qualified.
You talking about the one
So
that went to the course?
no, I'm talking about Indigo. I'm talking about
Oh,
Indigo.
okay.
Indigo is the one that's qualified, right?
Okay.
Hey, Indigo. Hey, Nichelle's in the chat with the laughing emojis because she know this story. Because I came in there and I talked to her about it, right? So I bring this to the mess. I'm like, hey guys, like this is my situation. And everybody agreed with me. They was like, yep, execute. I was like, bet. Right. I got the back end of the mess. And then I go back to the division and I sit them all down. First, I tell Indigo, I was like, hey, look, you about to get all the rolling eyes and flip hair emojis, coming your way because I'm about to make you the LPO. She was like, huh? I'm like, yeah, you about to be the LPO. So I call everybody in there. I'll give them the what's up. And it is what it is. It's law, right? I put it down, went to the mess. I got the back end. Everybody was like, it's a go, and we execute, right? Unfortunately, right after I did that, I say for about a month, uh, We was in there executing. She stressed out, and I let her give her piece on how it went for her. But I get into a real bad motorcycle accident, right? So I'm down. I'm down hard for about 2 months. I'm out, right? And I come back and it is complete chaos, right? It's a mutiny going on. People is just sitting there just going crazy, right? But I'm gonna let Indigo pick it up from right there though. Like how was that experience and your communication and collaboration or lack thereof with the personnel in the division after you were named the LPO?
It was weird because prior to, everybody was cool. Everybody's copacetic. I'm on forums to pick up people's kids. Like everything is good to go. And then it happens, and of course we all have the talk, and they're like, "Yeah, we're here to support you," blah 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 blah. And obviously that wasn't the
No,
end.
that was big cap.
It was
Big
definitely.
cap.
So I was stressed out mainly because at the time I really didn't know how to delegate properly, and I really didn't understand the difference between like authority and positional authority, right? So yes, I'm not an E6, right? So they have the rank over me. However, I'm the LPO, right? I'm the big fish. So it's like I
Mm.
have positional authority. So if I say something, as long as it's in policy, as long as it's in accordance, right, as LPO, but I was still saying stuff as IT2, right? So that
Mm.
was what I had to figure out. But what helped me though was that I had the backing of all the other LPOs and all the other first classes. So all the other LPOs in A school, all the other first classes, and some of the chiefs, they were able to support me and kind of help me through that. They're the ones that kind of fed me information and kind of let me know what was going on or what was being said or how I should navigate through something. So that part was helpful, and that's a big reason why I really believe that everybody can eat. I'm really big on that. I'm really big on everybody can be successful. Compete with yourself, be competitive, right? But compete with yourself. I don't have to take something away from somebody else to be successful. And I really gained that through how the other first classes at Corey and the other LPOs and DLPOs really helped me out when I was E5. I had more support from people outside my division than from the first classes in my division.
Yeah, that's sad. And
Let me ask a question. Let
I'm
me sure.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
This is ITA school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now because I did HMA school, Keith. So this is very
Yeah.
interesting for me. So, and I just want to jump in with a quick question. So with ITA school, so you were an LPO. So how are you able to manage leading sailors while still making sure instructing and podium time and all that was still taken care of? Like, how was that experience for you as an LPO and as an instructor?
So it was one point in time. I think we talked about it earlier when you made us come in and why my son wasn't at daycare. But it was one point in time where I was literally coming in the morning to LPO to do correspondence, to do admin, and then so I was in the morning, and then I would go home, and then I would come back in to teach Bravo shift because we didn't have an instructor. So, and then I would teach Bravo shift. We would break for lunch. I would run home and like try to get dinner ready for my family or whatever the case is, and then be back after lunch to finish teaching Bravo shift, and then be back at home at 12. And then waking up in the morning at 6 or 7. Waking up in the morning at 6 to try to run back and do some admin stuff, some ARBs or whatever the case is, LPO stuff right in the morning for correspondence. So it was very hard. I take, some accountability in it being hard because like I said, I didn't really know how to delegate properly. And I really wasn't asking for help when I needed help, right? I still was so stuck that, at the time, Chief Harris has given me this opportunity. Everyone is saying that I can't do it. I have to prove that I can, but I was proving that I can in the wrong way, right? Without asking for help. And in the end, it worked out for me, but it could have been a easier and more pleasant experience, right? If I would have asked for the help that I needed.
So it sounds like a lot of lessons learned, and it
Yeah.
sounds like it wasn't meant to be easy for you because then you wouldn't be the type of person that you are today, the type of chief that you are today. So that's I like that conversation. I wanted to hit on that because not a lot of people have gone to do instructing at a school, and that in itself, as you all know, is a very arduous duty. A lot of people think it's just RTC and recruiting, but A school is a very arduous type duty as well. So big ups to both of y'all for knocking that out.
Yeah. The thing is with that, man, I was really hard on her. I was really hard on her. We used to have some late night sessions. When I say late night, I mean 4, 5 p.m. right after the school was let out, because it would be some stuff that I expected to get done, and it just wasn't getting done in a timely fashion, from what I expected. And I would have her stay back, and I would have a lot of sessions that we would just talk about, her thought process, what my expectations were, how she's dealing with the stress of leading senior people. And I could tell she was stressed out, but I wanted her to feel that, as a second class LPO leading not only the sailors in the classroom, but the sailors inside the building. It wasn't going to be easy. It's not even easy for the first classes in there, let alone for somebody who was a second class. Um, and I can see the frustration on her face like every day. I saw it. And I just put more pressure on her. I just put more heat on her. Maybe that wasn't the right way to go, but I wanted her to feel that. I wanted her to understand what it was going to be like, to be a leader when she left there, and she can look back in that experience and say, like you just said, Matt, this is what helped put her in the position she's in now by going through the fire so early in the game, right? Um, but something I do want to hit on, and we kind of talked about this earlier, right? And I'm gonna kind of try to tie a couple of things into this scenario, right? So one of the first classes, right, female type, um, did not approve of being looked over for the LPO position, and then I'm sitting in my office one day, and here come the Simeo, right? Simeo walks in the office. He was like, "Hey man, I need to talk to you." I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" He was like, "Yeah man, I just had somebody come and report you for possible fraternization with IT2 Hart." So, so I say, "Oh really?" I say, "That's crazy." I say, "I wonder who that was." He was like, "Yeah, I can't divulge that type of information, but I just need to know, is there anything going on? Anything you need to talk to me about?" And I was like, "Hey, bro, look." I say the first thing I say to him, man, is, "Hey, man, if you want to take this shit to trial, I give you my phone right now. You can go check my email. You can check the call log. You can check the deleted out. You can check everything right now, bro.
Not take it to trial.
Ain't no, hey, take it to trial, bro. I'm a big believer in don't talk my head off. If you feel like I did something wrong, let's go to trial. Put the paperwork in and let's go to trial." That was my mentality, right? Because one, I know I ain't do shit wrong, and two, I like to make sure I prove myself, right? So, because I tell you, like I would have a lot of time to I would like, "Hey, Hart, hey, go close the door. We got to talk," right? And, I guess some people took that the wrong way, because one, honestly, I can't blame them, right? Because of some of the stuff that Hart already talked about, and some of the stuff that other people have seen throughout their career that will lead them to believe that, it's impossible for somebody to put a young female sailor in a position of authority without some type of kickback or quid pro quo or some shit like that, right? It's impossible. It's no way, right? And then number two, I want to tie this into something else I talked about earlier with somebody else. When I'm talking to female sailors one on one, and me and Mac talked about this too, I cannot help but feel uncomfortable, especially when the door is closed, right? And I can attest to many male leaders saying the same thing, right? It gets so uncomfortable, right? It gets to the point where you feel guilty, like you did something wrong, even though it's a completely honest conversation. It's all professional because of just the perception and other cases of what people have done wrong in the past, right? Um, and that's something that I talked about with some senior female leaders. And I told a couple of female leaders one time, I was like, "Hey, like when I start talking to female sailors in a public environment, not even behind closed doors, in a public environment, I start looking at my watch to see how long I've been talking to them, because it's like, let's say we on the mess decks or the war room, wherever in the P-way, and you start talking to a sailor, and then you get that Curious George motherfucker walk by 2 or 3 times, and they still see y'all sitting there chatting about something, they automatically assume the worst. You got to be doing something you're not supposed to, or talking about something you're not supposed to, right? And this is what the female leader said to me. She was like, so you telling me that you giving female sailors less of your time, mentorship, guidance because of the perception of what other people think than you are male sailors? And she was like, so you think that's fair? And I was just like, damn, like, oh man, that's a really tough question. That's a really tough question. You're like, I want to say yeah, but at the same time, no, because like what do I do? Like Indigo, help me out, Indigo. In that situation, in that scenario, and I know you've seen a whole lot more than I have with the folks talking crazy to each other.
Hmm.
What am I supposed to do as a male leader when I'm having an extended conversation with a female sailor?
For you, I just feel like if you're doing the right thing and you're being genuine, right, that should be enough. So like with our situation, I would notice like you would talk to me, right, and you would at certain moments you would make eye contact, but you wouldn't really keep eye contact with me, right? Um, Sometimes you would talk to me and maybe you'll be looking at your computer screen, right? And granted, that's not a horrible thing, because you taught me a lot, right? I think I remember one time specifically when I was E5, he would give me random brag sheets from other sailors, from other commands, and tell me to write the eval. And I'm like, bruh, I got real stuff to do. What are you doing? Right? But he did
Boy,
these things
I was diabolical back then, boy.
ridiculous.
Crazy.
And I'm just like, okay. But he
Crazy.
would do things like that without a lot of explanation, except for like, I made a decision, I put faith in you, and I gotta make sure you can see it through, right? But he really is, and I don't know if I've ever told you this before, and it feels wrong to say only because of how you are, right? Well, how you were. I did always feel safe with you, right? Even at the times when we had situations, people didn't see me say stuff to you in front of everybody, but when we had those, I did feel comfortable and safe to be honest with you when you upset me or when you hurt my feelings, whatever the case is, when it was between me and you, because that's just my communication style. But you always taken it in, you've always apologized, right? And you've always course corrected. um, I do understand like you're damned if you do and if you don't, but you really do have a lot to give. You really do. You have a lot of knowledge to give, you have a lot of experience to give, and like you're a big piece of my leadership style and who I am. And it's just sad to think that somebody else can't get that, right? And I can only imagine what more you would have been able to provide if you felt more comfortable to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of tears back in them Corey Station days. A lot of tears. I saw you snot bubble quite often. A lot of snot bubbling was going on back in those days. Speaking of tears, let's talk about Commander Chad Smith, one of our COs
Mm-hmm.
back at Corey Station. It was a specific instance. I want to get your feedback on, and I think I told Mac this story during our intro when he came to the office after IT2 passed away from the stomach issue,
Mm-hmm.
and he was really vulnerable in that point. Um, can you walk us through that situation? What was going on with IT2 and how Commander Chad Smith came down there to the department to talk to us? What you remember about that?
So I remember him being vulnerable twice with that situation and the other situation I think we're going to get into later. So I don't want to jump. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was just, and then when I checked out, I had a moment with him when I had checked out, and he was emotional too. And a lot of people just thought he was an emotional guy, but it was really nice to like just see somebody in that type of leadership, right? Like the CEO, you know what I mean? Like be vulnerable and be transparent and show you that they also have feelings and that they really do care about the things that you care about, right? Like he knew Seville's name. I think his name was Seville. He knew his name. He put
Seville.
time and energy into figuring out, what had happened. He actually came down to talk to the people that worked with him. And,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that before. So for me, I think that was also my first time, like actually losing somebody in the Navy that worked with me. Um,
Right.
so I think it was a big deal, and just to see that he actually cared, and to see that he didn't mind showing us, how he felt and him being vulnerable, I thought that was really big.
Yeah. So when Commander Chad Smith came down and talked to us, man, a lot of the sailors, um, they just would not speak. Um, and me being me, I got up and I start, I guess, I don't want to say down talking Chad, but I let him know for the most part how the other sailors were feeling. From your recollection, what were the blue shirts thinking in that scenario when a commander comes down to the department and he's that vulnerable? What's the feedback that a lot of the sailors were giving you as one of the trusted second classes that was in the mix back then?
It was a mix, right? It's a mix between people being like, "Oh, okay, he cares," and it's a mix of people thinking that it's not genuine. So
Hmm.
that's the line, right? It's always going to be one way or the other. So some people, and also with it being the CO, some people they're not used to being in that type of environment, that long with the CO. So when they're asked to speak how they feel, they're nervous themselves, right? Or they don't want to drag it out, or whatever the case is. So it was definitely a mix. It was just a mix of people being like, "Oh man, like we've never seen that before with the CO," and then there was a mix of people being like, "Well, he didn't even know him, so what is he crying about?" You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But and it's weird too because some of those people didn't even know him that well. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
Right. 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 So let's talk about a scenario. One of my good intention but poor execution moments at Corey Station with you. So we had a meeting, right? Mac, we had a meeting. I called a meeting. This was one of the things I was famous for at Corey Station. I would call these random meetings in the middle of the day. I need everybody here now type stuff, right?
right now.
Everybody, get here. You got 20 minutes. I don't care where you at. Get here, right? I don't know why I used to do that, man. Terrible, awful, man, right? So Indigo had a baby boy, right? He had to be no more than like one and a half, 18.
Mm-hmm.
How old was you? How old was Brady? What,
I
18
left when we
months?
were two, so he was probably like one, maybe one and a half at the time.
Yeah. So it's about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I need everybody here now, right?
And I'm teaching
Indigo's
Broadway
like,
shift at the time. So this is that moment where I'm teaching night shift, but I'm still coming in the morning to do LPO stuff. But then I'm teaching night classes.
yeah, I appreciate you throwing that on top of that.
Yeah,
I
just
appreciate that.
put a little razzle dazzle
Got
with it.
it. So I'm like, I need everybody here now. Indigo said, well, I got my baby. I was like, I don't care. Bring the baby too. Bring him with you. So she brings the baby to the meeting, bro. We literally are having a meeting and the baby is running around the conference table, bro. And I'm just like, why didn't you drop him off at daycare? Bro, when I say I was diabolical back then, I have no idea how I made it out of Corey Station and I didn't go to Captain's Mast as a chief. Like I used to do some crazy stuff, right?
Was the meeting
And
that was the meeting that serious though?
I couldn't tell you the day after what we talked about. I could not tell you. I couldn't tell you. And I looked back at that and I was just like, what type of terrible leader would have a young lady bring her baby in to come to a meeting when she's on night shift? Like, oh my God, I think about those type of days. But you know what? The one thing that did stick with me was she came. Like, she still showed up. She grabbed the baby, put him in the car seat, put the diaper, changed the diaper, got the juice bag, everything, right? And still came to the meeting, bro. I got some sailors that, you know, I don't want to say, I hate to say this, but they will use every excuse, and some of those excuses sometimes are family related. Let's just say that. And they'll do anything in their power to be like, I can't do this, I can't do that because I got to take care of this, right? And of course, I'm more sympathetic and empathetic to those situations. But Indigo is like, no, it's a meeting. All right, bringing the baby, strapping them in, we'll be there, right? And that lets you see a little bit into her character and what her work ethic was, because she could have easily been like, look, I can't do it, so figure it out. I can't make it, and then you can't make me come in there. I'm on night shift. No, she was just like, I'm gonna show up. What you remember from that situation, Hart, when I was like, bring the baby with you?
I just was like, are you flipping kidding me? But it felt more like a challenge too. It felt at the time like, you know what? I'm gonna bring the baby. You want me to bring the baby? I'm gonna bring the baby. I'm gonna make him see it. I'm gonna make him see it. Because if I would have said no, then it wouldn't have registered. You know, he needed to see it. So I went. I brought the baby, and I could just tell because he just was he does this little shifty thing with his eyes where he'd just be like. Right, so he's talking to us, right? He's leaned back and I'm just letting him run wild, do it all, have a good time, Brayden. And he's just looking. So I knew it was registering, and then we finished it. Of course, other people, and that's another thing too. Like people were making whatever accusations, but they were using me as a excuse as well. You know, like, oh, he made Hart come in with the baby. And nobody said anything, and then it ended. And then I think you and I had talked about it after because you were like, you got something you want to say. And usually I'm like, I'm good, but that day I was like, I do got something I want to say. And we'll wait till everyone leaves, and then we'll chop it up. And that's what we did. And I felt like we came to like a common ground.
The people in the back, what did you say?
What did we talk about?
Yeah, the people in the back want to know how to do
He just was like, why do you look upset? Or I think I was clear in my face that I was upset. And I was like, bro, you made me bring my baby in here. Like, what are the man? Like, what are you talking about? And then, you know, how, like, the way he apologizes is so like, it's still an apology, but it's just like, well, yeah, maybe I could have did that. Maybe I could have did that differently. Like, that's his way of apologizing.
That's key. That's key.
It's like, okay, all right.
Oh man, yeah, I learned a lot from a lot of these situations. So let's talk about something that a lot of people are dealing with, especially young sailors who are single parents, male and female, right? Being a single parent in the military. What's your experience so far? I don't want to say single because you said your child's father is still, he's still around, he's still doing his thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or primary parent, let's say primary parent. How's the Navy? I guess I don't want to say change because I feel like a lot of stuff is kind of still the same. But how any progress made in the last 10, 12 years? From before you had your son up until this point, what have you seen the Navy do, and how's your experience being a primary parent with deployments and everything of the sort?
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I think is just communication. When I made season on the 4 with your boy JG, and that was one of my biggest problems. Right, I was a single parent. My son's dad had also made Chiefs, so we both were going through season at the same time. I'm the primary parent, so ultimately it's my response. He lives with me. It's my responsibility to figure it out. And I just kind of struggled because I was so nervous of being talked about or being, people saying things about me being a single parent that I wouldn't ask for help because I didn't want to even bring it up. Right. But that's a big part of who I am. Right. Being a mom and being a sailor and having a child is a big part of who I am. And it's hard to do both, but in order to get the support that you need, you have to communicate, right? So it was times I just wouldn't even say anything. It would just struggle like an idiot. And JG was a big piece of that for me in my season because he has kids and he's dual mil. I think one of my charges or one of my like tasking was to get charges from single parents and from dual mil, right? From dual mil chiefs in the mess. Just to see that it is doable, that it can, that they will help. But in order for them to help, that I have to say something.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and people are actually a lot more supportive than what you give them credit for. So I'm freaking out thinking that people are going to think that I'm using my child as an excuse, right? And the whole time they're not even thinking that way. I'm thinking that way, right? So just asking for what I need, and also a big part, I think, is having a plan to mitigate as much risk as possible, right? So making a good plan for, I'm going to have to come in late this day, but this is how I'm going to make it up, right? I'm going to stay late, or I'm going to come in early on another day, right? Or planning out when I'm going to be off ahead of time, or just putting in leave for certain days instead of having to ask for certain things, and simply just going to the mess and asking them for help, right? So I think the Navy has gotten better in a sense of people communicating more openly and being more empathetic, right? And trying to find avenues to help people. But then again, like I said, it's all based on what you're going to communicate, right? So.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly.
let me slide in here on this one too, because it's, there's a valid point in this where, you hit the nail on the head when you said communication, right? And communication is big in anything, right? And so there's a lot of people that are in leadership positions, whether chiefs, officers, whatever the case might be, that can relate to each sailor in their situation, right? So you got master chiefs, you got commanders, you got all types of people in these positions that were probably raised by a single mother, right? And so when you communicate these situations that you have and say, hey, this is what I got going on, they think about those things and they're like, I know that's difficult. I know that's hard because I've witnessed that. I was a product of that. So I want to make sure that you are good to go, right? And we're talking about single parents or primary parents, but in any situation, right? It could mean you went through a divorce or something, right? You probably got somebody that's in a leadership position that went through a divorce. It's like all you have to do is communicate, because there's somebody in the chain of command that has more than likely been through that, and they do not want to see you struggle. And I'm not necessarily speaking to us at this point. I'm speaking to everybody that's listening, especially junior sailors. You have got to communicate, because like you said, because I know JG, right? As soon as you mention that JG, I already know JG got you. JG is one of the most humble, most authentic, most transparent people, him and his wife, and they want to see you succeed. But there's a lot of people out there like that. You just got to speak up and let somebody know what you're going through. So I just want to throw that tidbit in there, man. That's good stuff.
No, that's 100% nail on the head, man. A lot of sailors go through a lot of struggles, not just childcare, a lot of stuff, and they get into this mindset that if they come to leadership with their problems, they're gonna hold it against them, right? That's just not the case, man. I can tell you that I was probably one of those people that would side eye people with, quote unquote issues of taking care of child care stuff back in my 7, 8 years ago. But as situations like dealing with Indigo and stuff over the last 7 or 8 years, that made me think about that type of stuff and what these folks need from leadership is just understanding, because without having those responsibilities, being able to take care of those responsibilities at home, then they can't come to work and take care of what they need to take care of there too. So yeah, so I just want to at this point, an apology is too late. Instead of just saying I could have handled that differently, making you bring the kid to work is crazy. Every time I think about that now, I just be like, man, that was crazy, man.
That's nasty work, man. That's nasty work.
Nasty work, man. I can't believe that happened. But yeah, a lot to learn from me back then as well. But I want to roll into something a little bit more somber. Unfortunately, I want to talk about Brian Hamill. So Brian Hamill was this dude was a 101. And when I say 101, I don't mean like 101 transfer EP. That's not what I mean when I say 101.
What we putting out here?
Yeah. No, not like that, right? When I tell you this dude was Jesus mixed with like I don't even know how to describe him. You just be at a loss of word. The man will walk into a room and just take it over, man. Like completely just captivate everybody in the room. The man never came to work on time. Never was on time. He would come. Let me tell you how this man did business. He would walk into work, change into his khakis, put on sunglasses inside the building, fix his hair, right? He'll throw some water in his hair as he's changing, brushing his teeth and shaving at the same time inside the Chiefs mess, because we had a little bathroom right outside. And then walk into every office with his sunglasses on, talk shit to everybody in that shop, and walk into the CO's office, give him a brief, and then go home. Like this man was untouchable. He had to be mafia tied. Like this dude was untouchable, man. When I tell you this dude was AKA Chief Walk on Water, he was that dude, man. Like you couldn't touch him. President of the Chiefs Association, number one EP, like anything that you can possibly think of Chief being that dude, he was it, right? Like the CO would talk to him like one on one about everything. He was literally the XO as a chief, like literally. Like when I tell you that, that's how much clout this man held. And one day, man, I can't make this up if I wanted to. One day in February in Boston, Massachusetts, um, it's highly believed that he took his life, right? Highly believed he took his life. And a man of that stature in his professional community, right? To just take his life, it just, it shocked everybody. It shocked everybody, man. And when we talk mental health and we talk people reaching out, getting the help they need, there's folks out there right now you see walking through the P-way and you like, man, this person got it all. They squared away. They got it all together. Perfect family, perfect career, like everything great. Nice car, nice home, right? And the next thing you know, they gone, right? And you have no idea what demons people are fighting. So, Indigo, what do you remember about how it led up to the point where we found out what happened to Brian back at Corey, and what was your reaction to that?
So what I think is also really important is prior to him going on leave, right? How he was,
Hmm.
and really being able to pick up on some of those, um, what's the word? Like cues, I guess. I guess that'd be the right word for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, cues, yeah, indicators.
Yeah, indicators. So even before, like the day that he went on leave, so before that, I think it was like on a weekend or whatever, he was in such a good mood. I specifically, vividly remember him coming into JCC, putting helium from a balloon and talking in this weird voice. I also remember him giving away things, right? I remember him having a serious conversation with me. At the time, Chief McLean, Geneva, she was in the room with us. And he like I'll get too emotional. He sat down with me and her, and he was like, I just want to talk to you, and like I know things have happened to you throughout your career, and I just want to apologize for every chief or everybody, right? Really chiefs, every chief who's done certain things, right? I can tell that you've had a hard time, and he was like teary eyed, and he was really telling me to that he wants me to be able to speak up for myself, right? And he was like, I can tell you're holding something back. I can tell that something is wrong. And I can tell that you've never really spoke on certain things. And you need to share your story and you need to stand up for yourself. And he's like, and I know it's hard. And I know it's hard being a female. And I know it's hard being a Black female. And I know that I would never understand what that feels like because I'm a Caucasian male. And it was just so profound for me at that moment because I've never had that happen before. I've never had, a chief at the time, I was E5 at the time still. I never had a chief like really sit me down and say those things. I've never had a chief apologize for, and he took responsibility for the entire chief's mess. So for what that chief did to me, he took responsibility as the chief's mess, right? And we talk about that, right? We're all one. And all that good stuff. And he shouldered that, and he really pushed for me to, like I said earlier, to be brave and to speak up for myself and to try to help, certain things that happen to me not happen for other people. And that's one of the ways that I deal with and cope with my trauma is by trying to make sure that things that happen to me do not happen to other sailors, right? So for me, that was so huge for me. And I think that's why when we came in, we found out what happened to him, why it just kind of hurt so bad, because I feel like that was kind of like his goodbye. You know what I mean? To me, and
Yeah.
he did that the day before, or the day, whatever his last day at Corey Station was. That's when we had that conversation. So
Yeah. So yeah,
yeah.
that was a tough time. Yeah.
So to answer your question, when we came in and we got that news, everybody was just heartbroken because we saw him as such this big figure, right? Everybody liked him. Everybody wanted to be cool with him. Everybody wanted to be close with him. And he just really stood on business. So when we got the news, we never would have thought it happened because everybody thought he was okay. You know, he was all these collaterals and the CPA president and, DLCPO, I believe. And nobody would have ever thought that something was wrong with him, because he did come to work and he did have the same stroll. He did the same things with the glasses and the lotion and the hair. You know what I mean? So everybody thought that everything was perfectly fine, and to hear that it wasn't, and to feel like we weren't supportive, you know what I mean, and that we didn't help him, it was just
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. That was a real tough time. I remember Chad. It was a text that came out to all the chiefs, and we had to muster in the CPO mess on a random day at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And everybody was like, "What's going on? Like, damn, what happened?" Like, and everybody just like clueless. Like, we in the mess. Like, do you know what's going on? Everybody like, I have no idea why we're here at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday, mustering with the chain of command with the COXO CMC, right? And Chad couldn't even get the words out. Like, oh, this man was just uncontrollably sobbing, right? As he's trying to tell us that, he's gone, right? Um, he's missing. He used the phrase missing, but he knew that it was highly suspected of him taking his own life, unfortunately, was the cause. But um, and that whole day, like, people were just in the Chiefs mess, just crying uncontrollably. And I mean, that's a moment in my career I'll never forget, because I can't recall a time in my life that I actually like cried like that, because I was just so sad and heartbroken. Like, I tried my best to hold it together. I was like, nah, this ain't for real. Like, he's just missing. You know what I'm saying? So he's just missing. There's no way that he actually took his life. And then I guess about like 4 or 5 hours later, we was just sitting in the Chiefs mess, and it just hit me. And I started crying, and everybody started crying again. And then um, it became a big, just crying session. Everybody was crying because we were just all in shock and couldn't believe it, man. So I know we talk a lot, especially within the last like 4 or 5 years in the Navy, about mental health. But for those out there who's dealing with these internal demons, man, you gotta go seek help. And Mac being in the medical profession, I know you MSCIPP, but I know you work closely with the mental health providers and stuff, man. What can you tell us about certain situations that you've seen when it comes to sailors taking their own life and things of that nature?
Well, first, let me tell both of you and anybody that was stationed there with you all, my condolences to you all, right? You all knew this gentleman, and it's never easy to deal with something like this. So my condolences to you all. Um, as a professional, right? So, my background is in public health. So as a professional and working in Navy medicine for 19 years, I will tell you that a lot of things have changed, and especially recently, there is a new policy called the Brandon Act, which basically tells Navy or DOD that uh, service members do not have to go to medical to see a provider to get a referral to mental health. You now are allowed to go straight to mental health if you feel like you need to, talk to or be seen by a mental health professional. So that used to be a flaw in our healthcare system, was You used to have to go through your primary care manager and things like that and get a referral, and that takes time, so forth and so on. But we realized that during that time, that's when things get escalated, and you don't want anything to keep someone from going straight to mental health. So just throwing that out there, the Brandon Act, any sailor, any service member can go straight to mental health and get seen. They do not need to go to their chief. They do not need to go to their CO. They do not need to go to their congressman or congresswoman. They can go straight to a mental health provider to get seen. That has been signed in policy. Now, coming from a personal perspective, right, what you all just shared, dude, it's tough. Yes, I have seen my fair share of people in general that have taken their life. And the sad thing about it is we get all this training, which is good, right, to look for indicators, as you all mentioned, as I think Indigo said earlier, right, there was no indicators and things like that, but we get all this training. But the truth of the matter is you don't know what you don't know. And unless that person has a strong support system, whether it's family, whether it's spiritual, whatever the case might be, friends, you don't know what that person is going through. And they could be your number one EP. They could be your top performing sailor. They could be your president of Chiefs Mess. They could be your commanding officer. They could be an admiral out in Bahrain. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. It could be anybody. Rank. You know, I don't ever associate rank with when we talk about mental health. Forget my French, but fuck your rank. At this point, it's about that person. And so, are you okay? Do you need help? Do you have a support system, right? Because like you said, I have friends that are psychologists and psychiatrists, and one of the first things they ask is, do you have a support system? And right, and for me, you know, my support has always been God, my belief. That is my barrier, right? Because there have been times in my life where I've gone through things where I felt like, you know, should I still be here? Things like that. But the barrier that always kept me was my belief in God. I always felt like if I did something like that for me, how would that affect me on the other side? How would God think about that? But everybody's barrier is different, and some people don't have barriers. So yeah, it's tough, and I don't want anybody to ever think that, you know, just because you were there and it happened, you weren't there. You probably did all that you could do, and you guys probably paid attention, and it is what it is. Sometimes that's just how it happens. But yeah, we got to make sure that we support them, right? As the Chiefs, support them as the Mustangs, support them as leadership in general, as peers. And even subordinates going up. When I was a chief, I had an MA1 ask me one day. He was like, "Hey, chief, are you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why you ask that?" He was like, "Because I see you running around doing everything for everybody, but is anybody asking you, are you okay?" And when he asked me that, I was like, "Damn, I ain't think about it like that, right?" And sure enough, man, I mean, I was good, but I appreciated him asking that, and we still keep in contact to this day. Shout out to NCC Morris out at Virginia Beach. But yeah, man, no, that's my take, man. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, man. Hey, Indigo. I know you got to go to work. I know you got chiefly things to do out there in DC. I see the baby walking in the background. Go ahead and come off mute right quick and put little man on the mic.
Oh, he just went upstairs. Come here, Brandon. Okay. He fractured his finger, so he has to get his finger cast.
Okay.
You want to say hi?
Stop.
What's up, buddy? Hey, can I ask you a couple of questions about mommy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. You ready? I'm about to ask you some questions. Give me the honest truth. All right.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Let me get my finger ready on the mute.
That's what I said. I said, uh-oh. You said the honest truth.
No. I need so Bray, what's the best gift mommy has gotten you for your birthday? What's the best one she's ever gotten you?
Roblox.
Roblox?
Roblox.
Yes, love Roblox.
Okay. You ready for the next question? All right. What's the worst gift she's ever given you for your birthday or for Christmas? One that you did not like.
A wallet.
Oh, you don't need that, bro. You don't need that wallet. You don't need. Hey, he's saying that now. He's saying that now, but when the money come in later.
By the way.
No, my man said I need toys at Roblox. I need VC for the 2K. Look, I don't got time for no wallet.
Virtual money.
Right?
Virtual
Till he
money,
hit 13.
wallet.
Virtual wallet. No. All right. You ready for? Hey, one more question. You ready? All right. How much do you love mommy? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love your mommy?
10.
10. That's it. Oh, you gotta come up with like an infinity. I thought you was gonna give me the infinity answer, bro.
That means infinity.
Infinity plus 1, bro. Come on. Oh man, mommy gotta teach you that. She gotta
You
teach
mean
you.
that's unstoppable is better than infinity.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. I'll let you have that one. I'll let you have that one. Oh man. All
Hey,
right. All right. That's a bet.
I got one question for Big Man. I got a question for you, sir. If you could give mommy any superhero character, what would you say? What superhero character would mommy be?
Well, my mom's favorite superhero Superwoman is Superwoman.
Okay,
Superwoman.
right. Superwoman it is.
Okay. I'm glad you ain't say Catwoman or something. Like Cuban on Cuban.
Curbing on curbing.
Curbing on curbing. I'm glad.
At the end of the day.
The day gonna end.
The day go
Hey! Talk to him, little man. Talk to him.
Oh man. Okay,
Yeah, bro.
Bray. Hey, Bray, we gonna ask mommy a couple questions so she can go ahead and take you to school real quick. You going to school today?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We're gonna ask mommy a couple questions now. All right.
Okay,
Peace. All right.
A little too cool for me.
A little too cool. Hey, he look a lot different than when you brought him in that day for that meeting. He
Oh
look
yeah,
a
he
lot
got some
different.
hair. I was a little shaky. I was a little nervous. I was a little shaky. His hair was a little.
Hey, he looking like
shaky.
little Aubrey out there now. He good now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little struggle. I was a little nervous, but won't he do it?
No, he good. He good. He good. So check this out. We gonna wrap up with a final 5 questions for you. All right.
Okay.
Go some rapid fire here. Keep it short and sweet. And then we're gonna roll out. We're gonna roll out on that. All right. You ready? All right. Withstanding any advice I've given you, what's the best advice you've been given since you've been in the military?
Shit. This is not rapid. Okay, so your thoughts. I think it was like your thoughts become your words, and your words become reactions, right? So be kind to yourself. Speak kind about yourself, right? And that's something that I've always struggled with. So.
Okay, good. I like that one. I'm gonna have to throw that one in my little toolbox. You know what I'm saying? I like that one. All right. What's the worst advice? Also, withstanding anything I've ever told you. Keep all the shit I told you out of this. What's the worst advice you've been given?
Bring my child in.
Thank you. You really took it right out here. But
oh my God.
Just do it. Don't ask any questions.
Just do it. Oh
Don't
ask no questions.
Yeah, don't ask no questions. Worst advice.
No, yeah, gotta ask. You gotta know what's going on. Hey, best port visit you've been to. And if did you deploy on the fort? You didn't go on deployment on the fort, did you? What about
my detail
what NSW or the carrier?
No, I went on the I deployed on the Bush, but not on the fort. But best port visit, probably, I don't know, we didn't do too many. And then I was stationed in Bahrain, so probably Italy. I think I had a good time there.
Naples. Y'all hit Naples up?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's real dope out there. So if you were CNO, let's say tomorrow, Chief Hart's been promoted to CNO. What's something policy procedure wise that you would like to change or see changed in the Navy?
My go-tos have recently been changed. Like the paternity policy has been changed, and the co-location.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, the co-location for non-married couples. You know, as long as you guys have a child, that's recently been changed. And that's usually always my go-to is probably that one. So if I had to think of something else, probably okay, I got one. So you go overseas, and I think I got this from retired Master Chief Nelms, but you go overseas, you have a child, and you have the option to bring your dependent, right, and to get extra COLA, but you don't get your BH. I think that should be a choice, right? Because you can kind of make it work, but if you have a house back home and maybe you bring your child, but you still have a house, I think you should be able to choose if you want to either get the extra COLA, right, for having the dependent, or if you want to get the BH back home. So.
Yeah, I agree with that one 100%. I like that one.
Shout out to
Master. All right. Yeah. I like that one a lot. We need to go ahead and bring that one into policy. I like that one, especially being in Japan right now. So, So last question. So as a female sailor, what's something that you would like to be changed, or a policy or procedure specifically dealing with females in the military that you would like to see changed, enhanced, even taken away? An example I can give you is like the covers, how they've been going back and forth with the bucket covers and
Mhm.
making you guys wear the male covers. What's something as a female that you feel policy wise just not make sense and you would want to change or omit, get rid of, something like that?
They're really trying. They are really trying with us. We got the women's initiative group. You know, we got the nails. We got the lashes. So I don't want to be too greedy, but you know, they really are trying. You know what? I wish we could have longer ponytails.
Oh,
There
you
we
want
go.
the ponytails to go a little bit longer
Yeah,
down the
because right
back?
now we got a little. I got the little like. I got the no hang time. We gotta have. You can't really have a ponytail. You know what I mean? Because you can only do 3 inches below the collar. So if we can get a little bit more length on that pony, maybe we can make something shape.
Well, everybody, I mean, everybody ain't made the same now, goddamn Pocahontas. So some folks ain't got it like that. But that's all good though. Hey, Indigo, we appreciate you coming out. We know you're a busy woman, as your son described, superwoman, most days for him. And then also putting the cape on in the office. So much appreciate you coming out and doing this, rehashing some times we had at Corey Station, talking about your career, talking about being a mother, and much respect to you and much success for you in the future. Looking to see you on the next couple of promotion lists for 8, 9, and then warrant officer. So make sure you put that package in. All right, Mac, talk to her. What you got?
Nah, man. Yeah, I concur with everything you said. This was an awesome session, and I hate that I missed the last one, flying from overseas, but definitely appreciate being on here. Definitely appreciate getting to learning about Miss Hart here today. Her story is amazing, and like we talked about before we even came on, I think this is needed, right, for many sailors from all different kinds, right, from the primary parent aspect, from the women's diversity aspect, the minority, the like, it's so many different angles you could take from this session here. So I'm just thankful to be here, learn more about you, Keith. Definitely glad to be a part of this, man. You're doing some good stuff with this, talking to these people and bringing this stuff out. We need this, man. We need this. So yeah, I'm thankful to be here, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, so that's a wrap. Indigo, get to work. I know the
Yes,
sailors is probably clocking you right now. So,
they are.
uh, and I gotta take me a nap before I go to work tonight myself. Mac gonna leave. He ain't doing nothing. But I
Clearly.
appreciate your time. I appreciate your time. And like I said, much success to you in the future. And we out. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you guys.
Curbing on
All
curbing.
right. You got to stop with this curbing on curbing stuff, man.
Bye,
You
Yeah,
got to
guys.
stop
bro.
with this, man.